Welcome to the P.T.S.D podcast with your host, comedian and military veteran, Bernard the Laugh Therapist Hines, where we discuss P.T.S.D, processing traumatic situations differently, and give you tools to help you overcome the stigma of seeking help. If you're ready to be inspired, then welcome to the stigma-free zone. Here's your host, the Laugh Therapist himself, Bernard Hines.
What up? Hello, everyone. I am your host, Bernard Hines, a.k.a. the Laugh Therapist, and welcome to the P.T.S.D, Processing Traumatic Situations Differently podcast. Here, we try to inform, enlighten, and become advocates for one another as we learn more productive ways to process our trauma. Always remember, as a therapist, I am not licensed. I'm just medicated. Welcome to the stigma-free zone. What up, everybody? Thank y'all for being here. Listen, we got a show for today. Oh, my goodness. My homeboy, my mentor, my friend, my pseudo-pastor, if you want to say. He tries to speak knowledge, y'all. None other than professional comedian Cletus Kassady, y'all. Let's give him a hand as we bring him on. What up there, Cletus?
What's going on, man? That was a lot to have to take in.
Man.
When you was naming all them people, I thought you had somebody else coming. I was like,
no. I got you, my brother. Listen, usually I try to talk to my military community about PTSD, but seeing as you are in the army of the Lord, you fit right on in. You know what I'm saying?
I also grew up in Portsmouth, so
you got Portsmouth.
There was a lot of guns and violence.
Yeah. And then I've been with you when me and your uncle was together, and we both war veterans, and you was like, "Hey, this is just too much for me."
That was a lot of trauma for me too, man. I had to do that. My father, well, at least the one that I know, he was in the Army. My grandfather was Navy. He never stopped. He was the type of Navy that couldn't adjust to outside life. He called everything the ship. You know, we'd be in the house. He'd be like, "Somebody go in there and swab the deck." I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. What? Who in the mess hall? And who in the mess hall? You in the kitchen? You know, y'all go in there, get out that head. I was like, what? Where we at? Yeah. So he couldn't let that military go. So
right.
It's been interesting, man, how that is. So I've grown up around, and of course, just being in the area that I'm in, military. So I feel military-ish. I'm military without the discounts.
But I like this though, because people always want to make PTSD a military disorder, you know, or that's when it first came to light because of these wars.
I believe. So the military, of course, there's a traumatic stress, and people have put it in that instance, but I don't think a lot of people like to realize that a lot of the things that we deal with in just regular life are trauma.
Correct.
You know, sucks. You know, like when we lose people, that's trauma. If you ever been in a fight in school, that's trauma. If you ever been in a car accident, like people get in a car accident and forget about the fact that you can't drive for a week and a half because you're jumpy every time you see a car, or you don't want to go across a railroad track. Like you do that. The first time you had your mother-in-law cooking, you know, that's trauma because you don't want to eat that again. You know, you're like, oh, that was nasty. No, not your mother-in-law. Your mother-in-law's a fantastic cook.
Please don't get me put out.
But people go through traumatic stress situations all the time, and there's trauma involved in a lot of things. Like, even though I don't have the military thing, I just recently had a health scare.
There you go.
And when I had it, people were like, you have something called white coat syndrome. And I was like, I can wear coats in any color. I mean, what are you talking about, man? I prefer black because, you know, you look slimmer, but what is white coat syndrome? And it's the whole, they say when you get around doctors and different medical professionals, that your blood pressure rises and that you have certain signs. So I say, yeah, I get that, but that's a traumatic stress.
Yes,
like a lot of people are not used to going to the doctor and hearing good things. If you went to the doctor and every time you went to the doctor told you, "Hey man, you slim, fit, and trim, man. I don't even know why you coming to see me."
Correct.
That would be different. But almost every time you go to the doctor, even if you a pound overweight, they try to get you need to lose a little weight. You know, you need to change this.
Got to say something.
Or as you get older, you start to have a grasp of your mortality.
Correct.
And when you hear things that have taken out other people, my mom died of a heart attack, my dad died of a heart attack. And so when I have a heart issue, my brother died. He's not my real brother, but one of my very best friends, heart attack, just lost another friend, heart issues. So when you start hearing that, you realize now your own mortality. So when you go in there, the stress of the trauma of losing people hits you, and it's how do you process that? Do you just take it with a grain of salt? Does your mind start thinking? And I have control issues.
Okay.
I like being in control of situations, and nothing tells you that you're not in control like your health.
Correct.
Like you want it to be, but you just be like, nah, cause you can't control your. Like people be like, what are you doing to turn down your to get your blood pressure lower? And I was like, it's like not like I could just turn a knob on my body and be like, oh no, it's high. It's not a thermostat. I can go, oh man, my blood pressure high. Let me hit my left butt cheek 3 times and it'll go down. You know, there's nothing you can do. So
correct.
It's different.
Man, listen, y'all, we're speaking to Mr. Cletus Kassady. We didn't get a chance to say all his thing, but he's a 20 years, y'all. It's been 20 years, been trying to make a name for himself, and he has made a name. He's performed stand-up, written for others, acting films across the country. And he's already on The Churchy, right? It's called The Churchy?
Yeah, the church, the sitcom is on by Kev on Stage Studios. It's called Churchy. I play Deacon Charles. I just say I could never be a deacon in church, so I had to go play one on TV.
Hey,
that's been exciting. Yeah,
and you're the producer, right, of a radio show, right?
I produced the Michael Collier morning show. It's not necessarily radio. It's the direct to YouTube. You can find it on IMDb. I'm credited.
Come on now,
but it's directly to YouTube, and it's a morning show every year for a legendary comedian, Michael Collier. So I'm the producer of that show as well as the co-host. And I'm also featured on his podcast, Michael Talks to Everybody. So that's been really exciting, man. I don't get into the credits.
Right, that's like you. But we gonna talk about. We gonna get into your credits, brother. We got
I don't really flex on them like that.
No. Listen, y'all. The brother is doing great things, but what I try to say is all the good stuff that y'all seen Cletus do. Me and Cletus, we really tight. I'm gonna say it. We tight. And I have been through.
I'm his second best friend.
Okay, well, okay, here we go.
Somewhere around third. I hover.
I was trying to.
I wait for the rankings to come out each week, man. I wait for the rankings.
I got 3 levels of friends. I got a best friend military, best friend married, and then best friend single. But listen, what y'all don't know is I've been with this brother in some of the most traumatic moments of his life. Me and Cletus had a radio show, and he don't mind getting fired because he told me, he said, Vernard, don't quit your day job because I don't feel we're going to be here long. Because
I ain't finna be here long. Hey, you know, what's so crazy is that, like, sometimes I get fired, and I think back over the last 2 radio jobs that I lost. I will get fired over somebody else.
Okay.
Like, I'll get fired going back because if you remember our first firing, it was because they had fired our engineer, our engineer and producer. And I went to the people, was like, y'all, this is wrong. Like, this man ain't did nothing. He's done a great job with our show. Like, where we supposed to go with it? And the person who said, I'm going to take over producing y'all show was actually the owner. And I was like, nah, cuz this ain't fitting to work. You know, right is right and wrong is wrong. I've seen your work compared to who we had. And he got upset because I went in the bat for my friend, but
and that
was
me
just a
trauma.
different time.
And
it got you. Yeah, it got you fired too.
Yeah.
So you got to watch who you hit your wagon to.
You got to
watch which horse you hit your wagon to.
But this is what we was talking about. This is what I wanted to talk about. You was in the process, and we didn't know what was going on of you losing your voice.
I did,
and that's your moneymaker. That's what you do.
Yeah, that wasn't when I got fired with y'all though. What? No, that was
It was during that same period.
Oh, okay.
Yep. It was during that same period, and we didn't know what was going on. You didn't know what was going on. You went and got biopsies. You went and got folks with all paws all down your throat.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, let's stop that. Let's stop that. It just won't people in my throat now. I had doctors examining my throat. And if you ever go through a throat exam, first of all, be prepared for them to not even go through your mouth. That was what really tricked me up, man. I went in for my first throat exam, and I'm opening wide. You know, they sprayed a little spray. They were like, we're gonna spray the spray to numb your throat. And I was like, okay, cool. So they sprayed me, and they're like, all right, we getting ready to go in. I open my mouth as wide as possible. You know, I'm like, here you go. Y'all go ahead and let me stick my tongue out and say, ah.
Right.
They were like, no, you can close your mouth. That's not how we get in there. And I was like, well, how does this work? And they went through my nose.
God, to mighty nose.
So they put the camera up through your nose, back down through your nasal patch. I was like, yo, I don't ever.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever they be like, there's going to be a little discomfort or you may feel a little bit of a pinch, you already know it's going to hurt like Hades. And so that was a rough moment for me. But yeah, we went through that. God kept me through that, man. That's another traumatic experience because when you're going through it and when you're a voice professional is what they call it, whether it be a singer or actor, somebody who your voice is important for what you do, to lose that and try to figure out how you're going to do. This is what sustains me. This is what sustains my family, my life, everything. And to be looking at it in the face of losing all of that, and again on something that you couldn't control,
right?
That was a lot, man. That was a lot. But I got through it. I made it through. My spirituality, I had a lot of people who came through for me, and I think that one of the weird things, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I'll say this: one of the weird things about faith, and if you have faith, if you're a person of faith, and I know everybody isn't,
right,
but I am. If you're a person of faith and if you really want to follow the calling that God has on your life, a lot of times we think that when you be like, all right, God, I'm going to do what you asked me to do, it's finna to be roses and butterflies and rainbows and all kinds of stuff. And it's not like that. Jesus, his own son, followed him and he ended up getting killed. So you got to really look at it like, God, do you know what you're talking about on this following thing? So a lot of times if you go ahead and submit to what he's asking you to do, it doesn't immediately turn to just all kinds of great. But what he does is he throws faith tests at you. And so when you're going through those faith tests, things are going to get really, really bad a lot of times. And that's him being like, are you still going to lean on me? Are you still going to trust me in what I've said? Or are you going to try to fall back to what you know? Are you going to go and lean into your own understanding? So it's like the guy that's like, yo, I used to sell drugs and I had all the money in the world. I gave that life up. Now I'm doing okay, but now my bills are behind while I'm working a regular job. My bills are behind. Are you going to believe that God's going to provide you the money that you need to pay those bills? Or are you going to be like, no, because I know how to do it. I'm going to go back and sell these drugs.
Right.
And so sometimes God is testing you just to see, are you going to continue to have your faith in me? I'm just going to test your faith really quick. And that's what I think a lot of these situations that I've had to go through have been, because on the heels of everything, the after this is what I live for.
Correct.
On a lot of things.
Okay.
So even if I'm in the middle of a struggle, I know that the after this is going to be so much better. Once I get out of this storm, I know that the weather after that is going to be amazing. Once I get out of this test, I know that I'm going to be blessed with something that's much greater than even I knew I was going to be able to be in. So I live for my after this moments, man, even when I'm in the struggle.
Wow. And see, the thing about that, you process that trauma, and we say situations differently. I mean, you didn't fall apart. Now, me and you had some tough talks. You know what I'm saying? We had some tough, but not one time did you be like, man, why God doing this to me? Now, I don't know if you had in your quiet time, but people process trauma totally different than some other people. I mean, you all on Facebook asking, will y'all pray for me? I'm going through, you processed it in a way that was, that made God proud.
Differently,
I would say.
And I've handled it, and it's crazy because when you start talking about processing traumatic situations differently, you're going to process each traumatic situation differently. So when I was going through the situation with my throat and about to lose my ability to speak, I handled that situation one way. But now with this particular situation with the blood pressure and the pulmonary edema, I've been very public about that. I've talked about that. I've talked about the changes that I've made in my diet and my exercise habits and different things of that nature. And I've been very, very public about that, even in the public on social media and things like that. And that has become where people are hitting me up and they're like, yo, I really wanted you to do this, man. This is amazing. This is really helping me. This is really providing me with some ideas for myself. So I'm cooking my meals. I put my meals up.
Right.
And people are like, oh man, I never thought about putting that together with that. Or man, that looks great, man. And so it's inspired people. I go do my walks and stuff. People are like, I'm inspired by that.
That's right.
So there's a different way to handle. Yeah. So there's a different way to handle every situation.
Correct.
Now, if I had a terrible case of crotch, I wouldn't. If I was suffering in my groin region, I probably wouldn't be showing everybody.
No, we would. Matter of fact, no.
I don't even think I would tell you.
Because even when you, I'm gonna tell it right now. Even when you went through your surgery, I was there with you. So when he was in the recovery room, all he had on was the gown. I was like, bruh, your throat messed up. Ain't nothing wrong with your legs and your hands. You're gonna dress yourself.
You gotta dress yourself. You gotta put. I'm not going there, cuz.
You gonna have to dress yourself. Now I'll push you out of here, but you gonna have to dress yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
So and it's amazing, man. Each traumatic the situation is different. And how you handle it and how you process it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the important thing is finding an effective way
to process you can do it legally.
Traumatic situations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I want to harp on the effective.
Okay.
Like drinking my problems away is not an effective way to deal with it, because at the end of the day, my problem is still going to be there. I haven't done anything, but get drunk probably created more problems, broken many hearts, and gain weight. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
There are effective ways. So like yourself and myself, we both comedians. I handle mines a lot of times by talking about it. Like, so now I had the situation, I had the incident is what I call it. And now I've already got material based off of the incident. So some people are like, well, why would you talk about it so freely? Why would you say that? And I'd be like, because this is how I deal with it. It keeps me grounded. It's my reality. It's cathartic for me.
Yes, right.
I'm able to talk about it, get it out. A lot of times you all deal with one therapist, and that's fine if that works for you. Mine is I can go in a room of 100 to 300 different strangers, and those are my therapists.
Correct.
Y'all gonna get all these problems that I got. Y'all gonna laugh at it with me.
Correct.
I'm gonna get it off my chest. Some of y'all are gonna be enlightened, whatever. We're gonna laugh, we have a good time, and we feel better. It's gonna be endorphins and all kinds of stuff. I'm all in, dog.
Correct. And that's the key. See, what people don't know, that's the key of letting folks know what you're going through. And like you say, it's therapeutic for you, but then somebody listen like, I had a show last Saturday, you know, I'll talk about my PTSD in the show. Had a brother came to me and said, hey, man, I understand that PTSD. I just started going to seek help last week. And you know what I just told him? I said, man, I am proud of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing.
We got to encourage folks.
And when you do that, man, when you let sometimes, you know, and so I'm a church kid. I was born on a church pew.
Correct.
So when you know they say there's, you know, there's power through your testimony, and so the part about the power of your testimony is really just you providing and saying this has happened for me, so now someone else knows that it's possible that it could possibly happen for them. The testimony of a player making an NBA is that, you know, and when they go back and they say this is a guy that made the NBA after being a single parent home, and he dropped out of school and he slapped 45 white women. It's not about saying yes, slap white women. What it's saying is you won't make mistakes and you can still reach the pinnacle. So when I look at it and I say, man, I've made all these mistakes, you can still be somebody except President of the United States, unless your last name's Trump.
Wow. Well, we pray that don't happen. We pray that don't.
He done it once, man.
Yeah.
If you done it, if God did it once. But I mean, he can make anything. Like God, like people be like, God can't do anything. I'd be like, man, he made Trump a president and he made Flavor Flav a sex symbol.
Would you come on?
God can do anything. These are modern day miracles.
And when he made the first black president, he went and got one of the blackest people from where his dad was from. Ghana. What was his dad?
He was a little mix. He was a little mix.
But his dad was the blackest of the black.
Yeah, he went all the way to Africa.
And his wife and his mom was from Kansas. So his
mama was bred.
So you mean to tell me God ain't funny? Listen, y'all, we talking to Cletus Kassady, man, better known as I ain't gonna tell you his government name. I'm gonna let him tell it.
I appreciate that.
The brother's doing great things, but as I said, me and him have been through a lot of process. He's been with me when I was going through my divorce, and you know, so comedy is really just something that connects us, but the other part is our life. And I had to I don't know how to say this, but I had the opportunity, which I wish I didn't, to be with you when your mom passed. And that was, I saw you handle that to where you did her eulogy. And I'm like, this brother right here. Can you speak on that? Maybe somebody who's dealing with that right now.
Yeah, I'm let me try to get my frame of reference in, because it brought a lot. I just thought about all of it. Because you were here like that day.
That day.
The funniest thing about it is that day I put everybody out the house. And everybody's like, man, Bernard, go in there and talk to him. You like, I ain't going in there.
I heard some stuff going on in there. But he did preface this, though. You preface this, you say, y'all give me a moment.
Yep. I need my moment real quick.
Correct.
There's going to be some furniture moving and all that stuff. So of course, it's not an ideal situation.
Correct.
The unique, which not unique, but there are lots of single parents. But I was in a single parent household and an only child, so it was really literally just me and my mother. So for me, because of how my mom raised me, and so I don't like to create this utopian idea of me growing up as a kid. It was very difficult for my mom. I went through my rebellious stages. I did a lot of stuff I had no business doing. Ended up locked up a little bit as a kid, like a lot of that kind of stuff, right? But as an adult, I think we both were able to see eye to eye. We develop a very deep, very good relationship. As adults. So when that was snatched away from me, and similar to like even I talk about my father's relationship, when I just got to know my dad died. So like even when I started building a relationship with my father died. And so now me and my mother are hitting this pinnacle relationship where things are really good. We it's symbiotic. I'm doing things for her. I've been giving her these grandkids. She's been in their life, and then for it to go away in a blink of an eye was really catastrophic. But like we often do when we go through trauma, I put the trauma to the side to think about what has to be done next. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have brothers and sisters that I could be like, y'all do the funeral arrangements. Y'all take care of everything for mama. Y'all make sure, like in that moment, and when I say in that moment, it happened so quickly, like to the point of where I ain't know this, but if you die in the house, they ain't finna send nobody. If my mama had died in the yard, they would have sent an ambulance, picked her up, took her down to the morgue, all that stuff. When they died in the house, it's on you, cuz. Like, that's how they be like, hey, we'll send a police officer to make sure it won't murder, but after that, it's on you.
Wow.
I had no idea how that worked. You know what I'm saying? So I had to take my time, figure all that stuff out, get myself together there, even having her removed from the house. I had to start doing the work involved. You know what I'm saying? So many times we go through trauma and we move our trauma to the side, let our trauma sit and never deal with it. And we just start going on with life. You know what I'm saying? And then as you go into life, there's another trauma. You be like, well, let me put that over there in the trauma bag. And then you keep going. You be like, I'm going to deal with it. But right now, I got to go to work. I'm going to deal with it, but I got to go to Little Johnny's baseball game. And so your trauma bag starts just getting big and big. And you just like, we got to do something. And so with my mom, like I was able to remember my mom she always said that she wanted her funeral to be done by somebody who knew her.
Correct.
She said, I need them to talk about me.
Correct. Okay.
And unfortunately, her pastor had just got there. The pastor of her church had just got there. The pastor who had been her pastor for years, he wasn't around. So I was like, it's got to be me.
Right.
Like, who knows her more than I do?
Correct.
So it got to be me. So for me, it was cathartic because it gave me an opportunity, one last opportunity to make her proud. I felt like if she was in there, she was in there, but if she was in there, with the ability to listen, if it was other way, whatever it is, however we want to put it, she would hear that, she would be like, yeah, that's my baby. And that was my last part. So for me, it was a joy of being able to do that. The duty I felt that I owed her to make sure all her wishes were fulfilled, and just being a good son. And I left that funeral, man, and went and did a comedy show.
Yeah. I mean, because that's what we do. I mean, just people say, if you had a death, you would go back to work.
You gotta go back to work. You might take a few days, but I had to work now. That funeral had to be paid for, so they ain't doing free funerals no more, man. I don't know when they stopped that, but yeah.
And you do. I mean, I know you personally, not like the Bible.
Not biblically.
Not biblically. But even when you say stuff on stage, when you was talking about your mom and the funeral and stuff like that, I would cringe. I'm like,
Can he talk about it? Yeah. So like people always, people get mad at me because I just say the stuff.
Correct.
And it comes out. Like, I'll call people. I'll be like, y'all know I almost died last week. People like, hey, don't say that. I be like, well, it happened. Are we gonna pretend like it didn't happen? Like I was right there. I was on the stairway to heaven, and I realized I don't do stairs, so I just stopped walking. But yeah, it was crazy. So I say that kind of stuff. I tell my kids, y'all know I'm an orphan, and they be like, you can't be an orphan. You grown. I be like, both my parents is dead. That's what an orphan is. I am an orphan. And so my kids like, you can't say that, Dad. I'm like, I can.
You really can. I mean,
I'm like, you have your parents. You be happy. All mine's gone. I mean, I ain't got nothing.
And people will look at that and be like, what? But to us, it's like, you're thinking it, say it.
It's real. That is real. Like, so, and there's a way to do it, like, especially when you talk about yourself. Now, you shouldn't just do it about,
other
people.
Right. And you talk about yourself.
You be like, hey man, Susan is ugly, right? You like, let's just deal with that. Susan, an accountant, is ugly.
Right.
No, you can't do that because that's hurting people's feelings, and everybody got their own self-esteem.
Correct.
But a lot of times we create so many problems because we don't deal with the truth.
That's right.
If we would just go ahead and deal with, I guess the movie says you can't handle the truth. But I believe that a lot of us can't. So we'll go around it and we'll create these narratives that aren't true when the truth will do every time.
That's right.
The truth is fine. Ain't nobody mad but the devil's, what the old people say.
That's what they say. Man, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know how me and you became so tight, because I'm just let this out the bag. People, some people close to us. I couldn't stand Cletus Kassady, and I had never met him. Couldn't stand him, had never met him, because I heard when I retired and moved back home, they used to have this thing called, I think it was the Picnic in the Park. And it was hosted by Cletus Kassady, and I did not know him, but I was mad that he was hosting it, and I had been a comedian for 2 weeks. And I'm like, why
a hot 2 weeks of comedy.
A hot 2 weeks. Then I get a chance to be on the show with him and Jay Farrow. And my name was Reverend Peanut Butter and Jelly. And them brothers joked me.
Which is why you weren't hosting. That's why you won't. Because the fact that at that point in time, man, your maturity level in life as a comedian was, what am I going to call myself when I get out there? Reverend Peanut Butter and Jelly.
Oh, my God. But you know what, though? You have to have someone in your life that, as our bishop would say, that's doing something that you want to do, and study them and ask them questions.
At a level that you want to do it at.
Correct. Wow. Say that again. At the level.
We'll talk to people who do what we want to do, but you're not going to learn from somebody who don't know any more than you do.
Correct.
You got to find somebody, hey man, that person is doing it. If you want to be a painter, go to somebody who's out here really painting, who's really doing the job. If you want to be a mechanic, go out here to somebody who's actually working on cars.
Correct.
Like who's at a level, who's opened up a dealership or open up a car shop or whatever. That's where you want to go. Experience is the best teacher. It doesn't have to be your experience.
Wow.
You can learn from somebody else's experience. If I see you go and you take a left and run into a brick wall, every time you turn left, you run into a brick wall. That's experience teaching me. Don't take that left. I'm a fool if I see you turn left and go into that brick wall every time.
Right.
And I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to take that same left. And then be surprised. How'd I end up in this wall? Cuz, fool. And then you can't be like, I didn't know no better. This is my first time. Yes, it's your first time. But I watched him do it 27. Instead of, no, sometimes you got to be like, okay, I see his experience. I'm going to move differently. Now, everything that everybody does is not for you.
Correct. And we're going to talk about that.
So your way to the top is not necessarily, or whatever. Your experience is not necessarily going to be theirs. You got to be able to, as they say, and I'm fat, so I know this one. You got to be like Garfield.
Okay.
You ever watch Garfield, the cartoon cat?
Yeah.
Garfield would take a whole fish, throw that fish in his mouth, spit the bones out.
Yep.
That's what you got to be able to do. You got to be like Garfield. Take that fish in and spit out what you don't need.
Correct.
Take what's good, what's going to nourish you, and the rest, let it go. I didn't want to comment and be like, you need to take in nobody's meat.
No.
Because that would have came out wrong.
That would have came out totally wrong. Oh, man. Because you shared with me. I used to try to, Cletus is the best I have seen with just coming off the top. I mean, you come on top of his head, he can just spit it out. So I tried to do that, and Cletus said, bro, you got PTSD. You got PTSD, okay? You can't remember. You
got PTSD, you got ADHD, you got all the letters that the gay people don't take. So every letter that the LGBTQ didn't take, you got all the rest of them. So you need to calm down. You're at your best prepared.
Yep.
Ready to go, written down, structured. Yep. you're a military guy. Like that structure is embedded in you, whether you want to admit it or not. All those years you did in the military, structure is important to you.
Yeah.
What is it? SOPs.
SOP. That's it.
SOPs are important to you.
Very.
I need to know I'm going from A to B to C to D to E. And y'all have seen when people try to skip from A and go all the way around to E, bad things happen. So you be like, you know what? I need to follow these procedures, and you're at your best like that.
And the thing I like about it, you didn't try to sabotage that. The thinking like, oh, I don't want nobody to get better than me. You were like, no, brother, I know what I got.
I'm securing my own.
Correct.
I'm securing my own, and so there's a lot of things that people say that I think. There's a lot of phrases that people make that I think are just ridiculous phrases because they don't make sense, but we hold true to them.
Okay.
Like people be like, I won't complain. It don't do no good anyway. No, complaining actually does a lot of good.
Mm-hmm.
Like we would still be, if it weren't for Martin Luther King and them complaining, where would we be? Like complaints and the action after the complaint. Like there's nothing wrong with a complaint. What's the action that's going to be after your complaint?
Correct.
People say that competition isn't good. Competition is good.
It's great.
Competition, healthy competition pushes you to a different point.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm watching you, I let you push me, I push you. So when I watch you, I be like, hey man, Bernard is on my tail. Bernard is right there on me, man. I gotta tighten up and do better.
Mm-hmm.
Not even in that way. For me, I don't believe the student needs to become better than the teacher. I would love for you to. I'm great, and I'm happy if you do. But I ain't ready to retire yet.
Right.
So while I'm still in the game, if I see my student catching up on me, I'm like, well, let me try to move up a little bit to keep some distance between the student. So that's a healthy competition. Now, when I'm not gonna put you on a show or I'm gonna talk bad to people about that is just negative. That's jealousy, and that shows a lack of self-esteem on your part.
Correct.
We can all eat. It's enough pie out here for all us to eat, man.
Ain't
so let's eat.
Because I haven't seen folks around here walking around here. There's enough people are eating.
No, ain't nobody starving. The pandemic ain't leaving nobody hungry. You can say what you want to say.
Oh man, I gotta. What is your take on the mental health of the comedy community? As we, everybody talk about. Let's talk about the smack and the thing that came up and about the Chris Rock thing. And then Deion Cole, when he's talked about his trauma at the end of his show, people like, what? But all that you talked about, what you've been through, but you still got to get on stage and make folk. They don't care about what you done been through. Make me laugh. I done paid this money.
I done paid my money.
How could that affect the mental health of a comedian?
So there's a lot. So one of the things that I always say, man, like one of the things that a lot of comedians do, the first thing they put on before they go to a show is their mask. That's the first thing we put on before we hit the stage, man. Comedians put that mask on. So no matter what I'm going through, no matter what my day was, I got to go out there and perform. We don't get sick days. We don't get PTO. We don't get any of those things. Either you perform or you don't. And like you said, the guy in row 10, he don't care what you went through that day.
Correct.
He don't care that you had a flat tire, that your kids was acting up, that your gout is flaring. He don't care about none of that. Are you going to give me this quality laugh that I paid for a month in advance? You know what I'm saying? I've been knowing about this show for a month. I need you to give me what you're going to give me. They don't care about your mental state. I think it's unhealthy for comedians when they use the mask of comedy, when they use comedy as their prescription for what they're doing, when they use their comedy like alcohol.
Okay.
I'm just going to use it to cover what's happening in my life. You still have to deal with the situations that you're going with. So I joke about when my mom passed, but at the same time, I went to grief counseling.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it helps me, but it's not the end all be all. Sometimes comedy is just an OTC. It's just an over-the-counter drug. It's not really a prescription strength to get you what you need to get through. That's why you see comedians commit suicide. You see a lot of comedians who are dealing with severe depression, who are turning to drugs and alcohol because they still are not getting what they need to out of life. At the end of the day, comedy is a vocation. Okay. Yes, it's a lifestyle, but it's still a job. So bus drivers, you can't tell the bus driver, hey, bus driver, you dealing with a lot. Just go drive your bus.
Because you got them cheering up there. So you
got all kinds of stuff happening. We have to be able to deal with properly what we're going with. So a lot of comedians have a lot of things built up in them And being a comedian, one of the things I want people to know is being a comedian is a job, and we are allowed to not be at work. There are times we are definitely allowed to not be at work. People see you as a comedian and think you're gonna be joking at all times. Like, give me a minute. You don't treat doctors like this. You don't treat lawyers like this. Every time a lawyer walk in the room, you be like, "Hey, look, try this case for me real quick." Every time a doctor walk in, you be like, "Look at my crotch. Tell me what you see right here." You know what I'm saying?
So we supposed to be on.
Every time. But comedians got to be on it all time, and then y'all start judging my work based on. I saw him at Bernard's house. He wasn't funny because I wasn't working. I was off. I saw your husband at Bernard's house and he won't empty in the trash cans. He drives trash trucks for a living. Like, I can't judge his ability to drive the dump truck based on what he's doing in the house. So let us live and let us breathe, because sometimes that fishbowl. And so for me, because I do clean comedy and I do so much in churches and corporate events and things like that, it seems my life becomes a fishbowl because people judge what I'm going to be able to do on stage. They look at my life. They want my life to match what comes up on the stage at all times. Like, I can't have a moment. I can't have a moment. Like, even when I went to my doctor's appointment, it was a lady in the doctor's office. I got on a mask. I got a hat covering my face. Lady in the doctor's office, we all praying for you. So now I feel like I can't even tell you what I'm really in here for. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if I was coming in here for a bad flare up of herpes? I can't put that on there because I'm in this fishbowl. This lady is watching what I'm inputting. You know what I'm saying? And it's a HIPAA violation, but she know I got herpes. And she gonna go, I'm not admitting to herpes. No. I'm just telling y'all.
Yeah, because I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
What if it was? I would change my name to Joe Mexico if I had the herpes. That's why I get my medication at. But so you live in this fishbowl, people always watch you. And so a lot of those positions, a lot of public figures, that's why you see the depression rate in preachers so high, because they aren't able to be themselves. Right. So that's what I want for all comics. I think the comics should have the freedom to be themselves, not to have to be. I know Shakespeare said all the world is a stage, but we ain't finna have to be on the stage at all times. The stage is all over the place that we don't get on. Even though some of us try to be on every last one. But shout outs to Steve Harvey and Kevin Hart. But no, I'm just
but the reason I like the reason we're talking about this, because I remember you gave me a show because you had to go all the time. Let's say long time ago. I was like living in an apartment with Trish, and me and Trisha got into an argument. And I don't know the church beside Norfolk State University.
Okay.
Yeah, you told me, look, my boy can hose, he'll do that. And me and Trisha got into an argument right before I left. And I carried that anger with me to the show. And when I got up there and it didn't flow right, I got mad. And then I came back and told you, I said, hey, man, I think I messed up. And you said, let me tell you the same thing you told me. You got to put that to the side, do your job, and then pick it back up and deal with it.
Pick it right back up. Leave that right there. Once you cross that threshold, leave that right there. Like, I whatever you're going through, and people don't understand that we're doing that. And a lot of y'all have to do that at your regular job.
Correct.
Like, I don't need you salt my fries angry. If I come to McDonald's, I need you to be a happy salter. You know what I'm saying? You can't be in there. I can't believe Tasha go tell me she loved that man more than she loved me. And I go and have a stroke because you mad at Tasha. Yeah. I just need my salt to be at a regular kill. We all have situations, and you talked about it. There are times that when we are processing, there are appropriate times to deal with things at an appropriate way. There are appropriate angles that you have to take. And if you start processing stuff correctly, you'll learn, okay, right now is not the time for me to be mad.
Right.
I'm angry. My feelings are valid.
Correct.
But right now, I have to put those feelings. I just got to put them. I got to categorize them and put them in their right place. This is not the right time. This is not the right setting. Let me do this. Women don't seem to understand that.
No.
Women think we're going to talk about this right now.
Right now.
I've always been like, I know who I am. If I ever get into an argument with a woman, I always tell the woman, and I've been dumped by hundreds.
Yeah.
I tell all of them, if we're having a heated debate, I know my mouth, I know my temper.
Okay.
I'll talk to you about what it is. I ain't finna talk to you right now. Not in the heat of this thing.
Right.
I'm going to talk about your mama.
Yeah, I'm going to win.
I'm in it for
the
win. I'm cutting deep.
Yeah.
It's not even about it's not even about reconciling or finding a solution. It's about who can win this thing, and I'm competitive.
Correct.
So I'm going for the fatality. But give me like 30 minutes.
Right.
Give me my moment. What you said when my mom passed. Give me my moment to breathe.
Right.
Give me my moment to breathe. Give me my moment to have my conversation. Because I'll argue with me first. I mean, hey man, you know you wrong. You know you ain't had no business slapping that girl in the hind parts like that. You know, it was a public place. You know how she feels about food lines. She's respected there.
Right.
You know, you were wrong. You know, but she always wants me to give her public displays of affection, but it was the wrong one. Hold her hand. You know, so I had this whole conversation with me. Now I'm at a place where I'm able to bring in.
Right.
Where I'm able to bring in. If something is on full, like if you got a tire, and that tire is as full as it can go, you don't put all the PSIs in there.
Come on.
You put and to the woman, she like, I just wanted to say one thing, but I'm at my entire PSI. That one is gonna make this whole tire explode.
Correct.
Give me a second to push the little whatever, the little nipple, the little tire nipple. Yeah, let me let that out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then now I got room to take in what you got, and I can do it safely.
Correct.
And we can roll off together.
And a lot of
the process is important.
Yes, and a lot of that comes through therapy. And me and my wife went through therapy along with my kids, and I was telling Cletus 24/7. You know, I throw it in there. Hey, bro, therapy helped me.
That's what he say. He be trying to make me go, man, but I be like, man, my Thursdays are full, so it's difficult for me. No, I'm a believer in therapy. I am a believer in clinical therapy. It doesn't make you quote unquote what people say crazy if you go to a therapist. Just like it don't make you a cripple if you tear your knee up and you go to an orthopedic. That don't mean you're a cripple.
Correct.
They just need to get you back to where you are. You have something that's strong and functioning. Your brain is strong. Your brain can function. Let's get it back to where it needs to be. And I think that helps a lot of people, man. We've put so much, like you said, stigma on going to therapy and things of that nature. So we got to get out of that. Doesn't make you any weaker if you go and talk to somebody. None of that. Actually, a lot of times, man, it takes a lot more strength to go in and tell somebody, tell me what's wrong with me. And we love to hear.
That's it right there.
We love praise, man, but that corrective criticism, boy, that Jake is hard. But tell me what's wrong with me. Come, hey, help me, because you're not gonna ever be able to fix you if you don't even know what's wrong with you.
Correct.
You ain't here working on your brakes, and your brakes are fired. It's your alternator that's going crazy.
Come on now. And I didn't really want to go to anybody who really knew me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to really, because now you are looking at me from how you know me. No.
Yeah, don't know me at all.
Don't know me.
Let me walk in there and be a blank slate. You ain't never met me, I ain't never met you. And you come and tell me, hey, this was wrong with you. You don't take nothing seriously.
Yeah.
And
there
I'm like,
go.
You know what? You know me. You know, so that works.
I mean, I tell my therapist, it's my job to come in here and throw up all over you. Just because I look at it like this. When your stomach is hurt and you got something that's some foul food in your stomach, you're going to be...
got to come out one way or the other.
You are miserable until it come out. And once it come out, you're like, ooh, I feel a whole lot better. And a lot of things about therapy, I realized you have to go back in your past and your childhood and dig up stuff that you probably don't want to mess with, because Cletus, as long as I was in the Army and away from home, I didn't have to deal with the traumas that I had back here until I moved back home. That childhood
trauma is real, man. Some of us are still, a lot of us buy Jordans simply because we couldn't get none when we were kids.
Come on now.
I got a whole bunch of Jordans in there.
Right.
And sometimes I look and I be like, I don't even want to wear these no more. But I couldn't get them when I was a kid.
Come on.
So I relish it. Some of us do things to make up for whatever lack or inadequacy or whatever made us feel bad as kids. Listen, some men out here hoeing because when they were kids, nobody would talk to them.
Yep.
I tell people all the time, I didn't get cute till I got to college.
Okay.
I couldn't get nobody in high school. And all of a sudden, it was girls in college who had limited choices, who had never seen anything like me before. And now they were like, oh, man, he cute. And I was like, oh, yeah, he must be. Who is he? Because I'm the only guy in the room. Oh, me? And so you was like, oh, I'm jumping all on this train.
Correct.
Because I never got that validation.
Correct.
I talked to a friend of mine, and it's so crazy when you sit and think about it. So many, and I'll say this about both men and women. So many people have peaked in high school.
Okay.
If you look, there's a lot of people that still won't let go of whatever it was they accomplished in high school.
Wow.
40 years ago.
Wow.
I was a track star in high school. Well, you can't even run your mouth now. Like, what do you talk about, sir?
Right.
The pinnacle of their accomplishment, won the state championship in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
Dog, it is 2023.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That has no effect on the life of anybody at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
That so many people hold on to all of that. So it's the same thing with our trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Something somebody did to us in high school. Shelly Mae turned you down. You gave her that note that said yes, no, or maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And she said no. And you ain't recovered from that.
Correct.
In all your life. So we got to get over all of those wounds, the things that our parents didn't buy us, the things that we didn't get to do, the trip that we didn't get to take. I didn't get to go to Jamestown in 4th grade when I was in school because I was in trouble. I made sure I fought heaven and hell to make sure my daughter got to go to Jamestown in the 4th grade. And I was like, this place ain't really all that. I wanted to go.
Right.
Like
because it was a long field trip. It was a long, they were going all day. We was going all day.
And I didn't get to go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So because I didn't get to go, I was hurt. There was a lot of pain there.
And there's another one because I was able to speak to a young man, and being that he was touched when he was a child, okay, all his life he was going through. I got to be with as many women as I can to prove to myself I'm not gay. I'm not gay or that.
I'm still a real man. You see how many women I slept with?
Right.
This ain't what it is. I'm this.
Right.
Trying to cover up for what really happened to you as
in
a
your
child.
childhood.
So that's why I try to be as good as I can to my daughter, because I don't want her to be a stripper because of the things that I did.
That's right.
While she was 10.
That's right. And that's one of the real bonds we got, our daughters. You know what I'm saying? You want to see us act up, and they know they
something about them girls. The boys, you all right, but you say something about them girls, boy.
Listen, y'all, we have been
furniture moving.
Yes, sir. We have been talking to Mr. Cletus Kassady, y'all. He is a wealth of knowledge. As I always say, he's more than a comedian. The brother is a figure in the community. He does what they call self-help stuff. He does nonprofits. He's doing fundraising, and he always do it under the radar. And he wants I don't care what you don't want. It's time to get to let folks know, man, you're doing some great stuff, man. I want to tell you straight from my heart, as your boy, I appreciate what you do. You have helped me plenty of times, even with my PTSD. You be like, hey, man, chill, okay. It ain't that serious. And I was going through my divorce. You like, all right, you gonna mess around and lose it all.
You better calm down, cuz.
It ain't that serious. So
calm down. Look at where you are. Look at what you got going on, man. Yep. I think that everybody needs it, and so and not to put me at like I'm some kind of superhuman figure, but I same thing with Bernard, man. I think that's why our friendship is so great, because there's a level of reciprocity out there. And I only said reciprocity because I know that Bernard couldn't say.
Don't know what the heck it is.
Yeah. So there's a level of reciprocity there that I watch you, and I watch your relationship with your wife. I watch some of the things that you do. When my daughter get ready to go to college, your daughter went away to college first, so I get to watch how you're handling it. And what are you doing? And you just hit me with, man, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that. All right, cool, I'm good. Like, even knowing, like, for me, one of the fears you have is, okay, my daughter's gonna go to college, she's gonna forget about me because now she got all these friends, his boys, all this stuff. But me seeing when we went up to Virginia Tech to see your daughter the first time, and how in a sea of people she found her daddy, and that was all that was important. And I still see how she calls you all the time, she still leans on you, and so that's amazing. So like that took away some of that fear for me, even though it doesn't mean that my relationship is gonna be exactly like that, but I know that the possibility is there. I found somebody who married a wretch like you. Trish is an amazing woman. How did you end up with a Trish?
Hey, God is good.
Huh?
Nobody
believed in you. God did. I know TD. So so for you to end up with Trish, you look at it, and so I watch our relationship, and I realize that, like, so for me, I realized that relationships ain't gonna be perfect.
Ain't gonna be perfect.
Because I'm the dude that be like, you argue with me one time, dog, I'm out. I be like, listen, you want the last one God made. So I'm out.
Yeah, that's your one. That's your saying
go
too.
Through stuff and then come back, meet on a level and progress. No matter how mad you get at her, no matter how mad she gets at you, y'all realize at the end of the day, y'all love each other. So let's get back to that. And y'all handle things in adult ways. You'll be like, hey man, I just needed a minute away from her. Well, she'll call, hey, come get your brother.
She will call him. I look, you remember that time I said I was gonna quit comedy? I said I'm gonna quit comedy. All I know, Cletus called me.
Come get your brother.
Man, how you doing, bro? What's going on? Oh Lord, she done called you. I'm good, man. No. So you got to have those people in your life when you processing trauma. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to come to you and be like, hey, man, me and my wife, man, we had a little problem right there. Man, come on, man, let's go to headlights, right, and talk about it. I don't want to know. No, I'm not going.
No, not that. You gotta have positive people to help you process that stuff too.
Yes.
They gotta be able to know. They gotta also be able to know you, your situation. They gotta be able to value what you have as much as you do. Correct. I value your relationship with Trish. I value your relationship with your kids. I value your career. Same. So for me, it's what can I do to help him not only get right in this situation, but protect what he already has going on. So you look at somebody like, for example, I'll use Ja Morant, who's going through a lot right now in the NBA. He doesn't have people around him who value not just who he is, what he brings to the table, but value what he has. If you truly value your friend, the moment you see him even think about putting a gun on Instagram, you cut in, you run in the room, you jump on the gun to cover it up. You got to be able to tell him, no, cuz this is not a smart move. This is not the career choice you want to make. You know what I'm saying? You got to have people around you who are not afraid to tell you when you're messing up. Hey, you messing up, man. You need to do this.
Because it's not about if trauma gonna happen, it's when trauma gonna happen.
When.
I mean, you can't live without it. I don't care with all these shootings that's going on everywhere. Everybody's hyper.
It's a trauma. Right. I don't care if you're in the greatest relationship. This is what I tell people all the time. You gonna have your person is gonna hurt you. You're gonna be hurt. I don't care if y'all got the greatest relationship of all time. One of y'all gonna die first. When that person die, you're gonna be hurt.
Yep.
It's going to be a hurt. There's going to be a hurt somewhere in that relationship, right? So there's going to be a trauma. Y'all going to have kids. Something might happen with the kid. The kid might break an ankle. And we feel those are traumas for us.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Everything in life is going to bring some kind of trauma, man. We are guaranteed that there's going to be trauma. That was in the Bible, man. Life is short and full of trouble. So.
And sometimes, please, that trauma would turn out, I'm going to say, good. Okay, Trish. She has a cleaning service called OCD Cleaning. She got her trauma when her son got sick. When Nick, our son, got sick and had a bacteria infection. The doctor said, well, maybe it's because of maybe some dirty towels or maybe something. When she heard dirty, that flipped something.
Won't be no more dirt no more.
It's no more dirt nowhere.
Trish be out here sweeping the park. Like, it's a park, Trish. Why are you?
She blow out the garage and just, I'm like, so that OC, and I had to learn that what she's doing is not killing nobody. I just got a clean house.
Yeah, I can eat off y'all floors, absolutely. But it's a single man house. Trish OCD affect other people. Y'all came to check on me when I was sick. I'm around here almost about to die trying to clean up stuff.
Man, that is crazy when people.
And Trish still found something.
Hey, when I say I'm coming over, some people say, you bringing Trish with you? well, that's my mama. She said, you bringing Trish? Because she know.
I got to clean up if Trish is coming.
She ain't doing that. But listen, man, hey, it has been great chopping it up with you. Let the folks know what you are doing and what you got going on. Or how they can reach you and everything.
Man, you can always find me on all forms of social media, man. The branding is simple. It's Cletus Comedy, CLETUS Comedy. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's on everything except Christian Mingle.
Come on now.
On Christian Mingle, you can find me at My Sword and Shield Comfort You. My rod and staff.
Yes, sir.
So you can find me. Of course, you can go on Kev on Stage Studios, man, and you can find the sitcom Churchy. That's right there, man. There's 8 episodes. I'm in 6 of them. I played Deacon Charles. It's great. A lot of the episodes, I'm the first person you see on the episode, so that's exciting.
Wow.
And we'll be working on season 2 soon, so check out that. While you're on the Kev on Stage Studios app, man, I do have I was on his show Keep Your Distance Comedy, so I have a set on that. And they actually just have a separate short set of me from when I was on tour with them.
Yeah.
So that's up there. So if you want to see that kind of comedy, then daily I have my own morning show. You can find that on Facebook. It's called See You in the Morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time. I just get up, man, and for between 30 minutes to an hour, we just walk through Pandora's box, man. You don't know what I'm going to talk about.
You don't know what's going to come out.
And it can go left, so y'all just be prepared for some left thing.
It's still good material. It ain't vulgar where you.
No, it's not vulgar. It's gonna be grown up stuff. It's gonna be stuff that you deal with as an adult.
That's right.
And then 7 o'clock Pacific time in the morning, I host the Michael Collier Morning Show, which is 10 o'clock Eastern time. So that's great. It's me, Michael, and a variety of guests that come on and talk every day. And on his podcast, Michael talks to everybody. I'm a little bit of everywhere, man. So,
yeah. And the thing I like about you, you don't mind trying something new.
Nah.
If it don't work, okay.
It don't work, it don't work, man. I've been fired from lots of jobs.
Oh, yes, you have. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. But listen, man, you are now released from the stigma-free zone. Listen, everybody, your boy Cletus Kassady, please go follow him. He has a wealth of knowledge, and if you see him on the street, talk to him.
Don't ask me to be funny, though. Just, if you see him on the street, just say hi. Don't be like, give me a joke. I'm like, nah, because then you're going to think I'm a jerk.
All right, man, you released from the stigma-free zone. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the P.T.S.D. podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit follow or subscribe on all podcast platforms so you can stay up to date on new episodes. Until next time, stay stigma-free.